So as we had talked about last night, the Edmonton Oilers eliminated the LA Kings, and you could very well say that it was, in some respect, an easy series for Edmonton. They've been dominating the LA Kings all these years. This is the third year in a row they've eliminated the Kings in the first round, and nobody, I think, is all too surprised. The brackets that we had seen, a lot of people were like, yeah, no, it's going to be Edmonton. Even the ones that said LA was going to win, it had them winning like 7 or 6 or whatever. It wasn't going to be any sort of a blowout here, just based off of the history and based off of the talent of the teams involved. And I know a lot of Kings fans were kind of dreading the matchup as well, because it's like, yeah, this divisional format sucks because we're always playing Edmonton and we're always losing. But when it comes to the best of the best, when it comes to the top guys, the players that are being paid to be the best on the LA Kings, there is one name that stands out that really did his best to make sure that nobody on the face of the planet would be satisfied with his performance. Today we are talking about the $8.5 million man himself, Pierre-Luc Dubois, because he just wrapped up a postseason run for the ages. Now, Pierre-Luc Dubois, as we have known, has been the subject of a ton of trade rumors over the past few years, and when it comes to the way he has proceeded as an LA King after being acquired by this team and signing his $8.5 million AAV extension, which takes him till 2031, PLD was in a rough spot because his production on the ice, plain and simple, was just not as good as what he had accomplished in Winnipeg. He was a point-per-game guy in the postseason last year with the Jets getting 4 points in 5 games, and he had 63 points in 73 regular season games. Ever since being acquired by LA, though, Dubois started to show off many of the traits that a lot of people in Columbus and Winnipeg started to resent him for. Lackadaisical play, slow pace, just kind of cruise controlling out there, and less offensive production. Pierre-Luc Dubois finished up this 23-24 season with the Kings with 40 points in 82 games played, 16 goals, 24 assists, and for a good chunk of the year, he was playing in the bottom 6 of the lineup. He was not even one of the top guys being utilized. For an $8.5 million guy, that is terrible. The standard that sets is terrible. The precedence that sets is disgusting. And when it comes to the postseason, a lot of people were trying to cope. They were saying, oh yeah, well, Pierre-Luc Dubois had a poor regular season, or maybe not even really like poor, quote unquote, but it was not great. But if he's able to show off in the postseason that he still got what he had last year with Winnipeg, he can still be a force, he can be a two-way play driver, he can do things at both ends, and he can produce points, then we'll have ourselves some things to look forward to for Pierre-Luc Dubois' future. But in the playoffs this year, Pierre-Luc Dubois had himself a goal in the 7-4 stomping at the hands of the Edmonton Oilers, and 0 points throughout the rest of the darn series. Not to mention 20 penalty minutes, wherein a few of those were taken in the final game. The absolutely obnoxious holding call that he had on Leon Draisaitl was one of the worst we have seen. Not because the call itself was bad, I think it was very much a hold, but the penalty itself. PLD, what are you doing? Why are you grabbing the guy and pulling him down like that? It is an irresponsible play from a player whom you expect better out of, and it forms with the rest of his body of work in the playoffs to form a package that says, yeah, this guy has been really useless. Even his time on ice per game, he had 13 minutes in Game 4, 14 minutes in Game 3. He's been rotating around that 15, 13-ish minute mark for ice time, and he's getting no points, penalty minutes on top of that. We are having all the tweets now. Take a look at this made by Greg Wyszynski. Pierre-Luc Dubois had 2 goals in his last 21 games, regular season and playoffs, for the LA Kings. He had 9 assists during that span. So in his last 21 games worth of play, PLD has 11 points, and a good chunk of those points came in the first 21 games that he played rather than the last. The guy has stopped being effective, and it gets to a point now where people are calling him out for his dirty plays as well. Not even just the hold on Leon Draisaitl, but it's everything else around that as well. Here's a thread made and posted by Jeff Veillette from earlier last week. It retweets a post made on Twitter by B. Curlock. Part of my language, but what a horse crap play. It's the play where Pierre-Luc Dubois is kind of slew-footing the guy. I think that's McDavid, and he kind of slew-foots him forward. He kicks his leg up to take out... No, that's not Connor Mack. That's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, excuse me. Jeff Fayette said, "Is it finally acceptable to call playoff Dubois one of the sneakiest, dirtiest players in the league? Or is that still just people in Toronto having sour grapes?" He also had this made by Russell Morgan earlier in the week, too. Russell does stuff for the LA Kings on Hockey Royalty. He covers them. And he went out there and tweeted this to 70,000 views and 600 likes. "For how much the plan, quote-unquote, has been drilled into our heads by the Kings and others, the whole season feels like management has had no idea what they're doing. 1. Pierre-Luc Dubois, their big acquisition, is unproductive and playing with fringe NHLers. 2. Brent Clark, their best prospect, couldn't play because of salary bonuses. 3. Jordan Spence is handcuffed by his D partner. 4. Turgot, Thomas, Fagemo, all blocked by unnecessary signings. 5. Kaliev, who the heck knows? And 6. Oh, and they lost Bjorn Fott and Jared Anderson-Dolan to waivers. Great effing plan." You also had yourselves this post made by Russell Morgan. "I've defended him all year, but the poor play from the regular season has only continued into the playoffs. He has a 31.9% expected goal share, which is second worst on the team. It's put up or shut up for PL Dubois for his sake and Rob Blake's." This was on April 28th, so before the elimination last night, and I think a tad before the Game 4 that we had seen. So, tension is running high here for Pierre-Luc Dubois, not just in terms of the on-ice play and the penalties, but for his lack of contribution. The fact that this guy's playing the same kind of hockey that a $2 million AAV bottom six depth guy gets, and even then, the kind of play you're getting out of Dubois, it's like, yeah, if you were paying $2 million, you'd feel kind of ripped off, let alone 8.5. The only reason it's not worse here is because we know Dubois can be better. We know he has had better success in the past. We know that he knows how to put the puck in the back of the net. We know that he knows how to create offense and do things well and be a defensively minded force, but he's just not any of that for LA. And we saw that and more in the Edmonton series, where the worst of PLD just started to bring itself up to the forefront. Irresponsible, dangerous, dirty penalties. A whole bunch of rough stuff and a lot more cruising around, instead of getting points on the board like a regular $8.5 million guy should be able to do. And really, it comes down to what the Kings should be expecting here. Because this contract, I mean, it kicked in this season. It's year one of what is going to be a full, long-term commitment between the Kings and Dubois. You also got to think, though, Pierre-Luc Dubois has a no-move clause that kicks in the beginning of 24-25. So right now, he technically is available to be moved. If the LA Kings were to, at some point, decide within the span of time that exists now, between now and, let's just say, July 1st, hey, we cannot keep this guy around. We need to trade him for somebody. We need to get him off our team. That commitment is not something we want to go with because he's so much worse than we thought he'd be. If there is any immediate buyer's remorse, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you have until July 1st to make a trade. Good luck trying to do that because you rarely see players get traded in this period of time, but it is possible. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to whether or not that actually is something that's worth thinking about. But I wanted to make this video, secondly, to address the outcome and the fallout of this LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers series conclusion. You know, just beyond the post-game, I wanted to get into an entire thing about Dubois because this always has been one of the most intriguing conversations that we have had. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about PLD and his performance in the playoffs? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.